Okay, so for the introduction for our reporting case was for Tosoh accident was the holding company of the Japanese chemical and specialty products and material groups. Tosoh Corporation employs more than 12,000 workers from various cultural groups across over 100 organizations globally. The construction, automotive, consumer electronics, information technology, bioscience and environmental markets are among Tosoh key industries. That was basically all their provided industry at Tosoh Corporation. Uh, Tosoh Bio Tosoh Tosoh Bioscience provides specialized separation solution for industrial environmental analysis, clinical chemistry, drug development and research. For Tosoh Construction, there were dogs as built drawing, make functional drawings, and edit them, being able to understand engineering drawings and pipe and instrument diagram, which is PNID. Tosoh Environmental Works schemes are the next. Tosoh is a multinational chemical firm that provides procedure with the raw materials they require to create the products that make contemporary life all that is and all that it can be. Uh, in order to prevent such accidents in the future, we should think back on and that analyze past incidents. Um, for example, for our Tosoh accident was the chemical plant accident. From this point forward, it should be also applied to the construction of new industries abroad, and the findings of these investigations and new security measures for catastrophe avoidance should be implemented globally.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Hudaila Shafia binti Azhan and my matrix number is AA221835. So I will explain about our objective based on our case study. So this accident has attracted attention from authorities over recent years due to various accidents. A study of the clumsious incident of Tosoh accident was implemented and discussed. At the Tosoh Corporation, accident happened, we should think about and evaluate these events, as well as increase our technological knowledge to prevent similar incidents in the future. This should now apply to the establishment of new security abroad and the finance of these studies, as well as new disasters prevention security measures should be implemented globally. To sum up, incident reports needs to be implemented. Incident reporting is required by companies to keep their workplace safe, accessible, and compliant. So just it.
Assalamualaikum to Miss Shira. My name is Rajan Raila Batisha binti Raja Zainal and my metric number is AA220665. I'm going to present the accident report. So as we have learned, reporting accident should culminate in a comprehensive accident report, which is it is need to be clear, complete description and accurate information of events leading up to the accidents. Besides that, it also need to be clear, complete, and correct identification of all casual factors. We have we need to have recommendations, supporting documentation, and proper review and sign off. So, um, so an explosion and fire occurred in the hydrogen chloride tower of Tosoh Corporation in Japan on November 13 in 2011. Tosoh shut its 550,000 milliton per year number 2 vinyl chloride monomer and 400,000 milliton per year number 3 vinyl chloride monomer plant at Nanyo, which located in western Japan after the explosion and fire erupted at the complex. The explosion occurred at the number 2 plant, and due to the safety precaution, Tosoh Corporation decided to shut down as well its number 3 plant. The ignition started when hydrogen chloride reacted with vinyl chloride monomer to produce 1,1-EDC catalyzed by ferrum chloride. which was produced by hydrogen chloride and iron rust inside the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride tower. The reaction rate increased exponentially due to the temperature of the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride was increased because it is an exothermic reaction. So the accident all started when the valve suddenly opened during line A operation because the urgent discharge valve for disposal facilities of oxidation line A was broken. 30 minutes after that, the oxidation line A was stopped by the interlock function. Meanwhile, oxidation line B was still operational. 40 minutes after that, both line A and B stopped the EDC decomposition process to regulate the production of EDC, which was only produced by line B of the oxidation process. So the operating line for EDC decomposition process changed to line A only. As a result, the operating load changed from 100% to 45%. So because the stoppage was partial, the temperature balance after 31 minutes causes the hydrogen chloride tower to change and the middle tire temperature fell from 80 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius. In order to recover the temperature condition, the amount of heating steam was increased and the reflux volume was decreased. This happened because of the operating standard of the hydrogen chloride tower was insufficient. At that time, the operators did not realize that they should control the top and bottom of the hydrogen chloride tower due to the inadequate operator training. Although the temperature at the top of the hydrogen chloride tower is normally negative 24 degrees Celsius, it rose to 38 degrees Celsius because of the alarm for detecting abnormal temperature was not set up at the top tier of the hydrogen chloride tower at the 1 hour and 1 minute after the discharge was broken. Then vinyl chlor then vinyl chloride monomer was mixed in the upper part of the hydrogen chloride tower. Condition had become stable because the temperature of the middle tower stage recovered to 80 degrees Celsius. Then vinyl chloride monomer was mixed with the oxidation line B after 2 hours and 80 minutes. The entire production facility was then stopped. The general manager, production manager, and section manager realized that the temperature at the top of the hydrogen chloride tower stage was not normal, and they assumed that the vinyl chloride monomer had mixed in the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride tower. However, they did not know that when one EDC was being generated, so they did perform any special operation. There was no knowledge of the abnormal reaction site reactions that are assumed to have occurred. All of the important information was not available and not included in the training manual because the people who are in charge of the plane had no idea what was coming up. The backflow pump of the hydrogen chloride tower was stopped at 2 hours and 41 minutes. The level of hydrogen chloride backflow tower was nearly 100% and the tank was sealed. The hydrogen chloride tower refrigerator was stopped. There was no operating standard that ensured safety causes. The backflow of the tank hydrogen chloride tower was disconnected from the hydrogen chloride tower. So the backflow of the hydrogen chloride tower was sealed after the lapse of time of 5 hours and 1 minute. After about 8 hours of the transfer of liquid from the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride temporary receiving tank started. Although the pressure of the liquid hydrogen chloride in the temporary receiving tank was increasing, the operators were unaware of this phenomenon because there was no operating standard that ensured the safety pressure of the hydrogen chloride receiving tank was monitored. At 11 hours and 20 minutes after the discharge valve opened, the operators realized that the pressure of the liquid hydrogen chloride temporary receiving was rising because the drop in pressure was insufficient. So they started pressure relief action. And 60 minutes after that, the allophone sounded and white smoke was discharged from the top of the liquid hydrogen chloride temporary tank during the pressure relief action. Shortly, around 8 minutes, the pressure of the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride tower rose to 2.0 megapascal gauge as the company has decided the design pressure of this tank needs to be 1.9 megapascal gauge. A minute after the backflow tank of the hydrogen chloride tower ruptured, exploded, and burst into flame. The whole process for the hydrogen chloride tower to explode, rupture, and burst into flame takes about 11 hours and 45 minutes. So the lesson that can be learned from this case is the lack of training for the operator when he was restoring temperature to only the middle stage. It is necessary to take both the top and the bottom into consideration when increasing temperature, and this was something the operator was unaware of due to lack in his training. There was also no alarm for detecting abnormal temperature at the top of the tower, which caused the operator to be only focused on the middle tier to be monitored. There was also a lack of written record saying the standard value of the temperature of each part of the hydrogen chloride tower. This plan lacked so many operating standards which didn't help operator safety to solve the problem that occurred. In order to avoid this accident to happen in the future, the operators need to get proper training as well as they need to be skilled enough to operate the plant. Besides that, the operator needs to know all the possible factors that may cause an explosion at the said plant as a precaution to lessen the risk of it happening. Um, Besides that, the company needs to set an alarm that can detect an abnormal temperature to alert the operator that there is something that was going on in the site plan so that they can take action to solve the problems that occurred. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Siti Melda Umaira bintu Shiza. I'm going to present about impact and consequence for our case study, which is Tosoh in Japan. This event gives a lot of impact and consequence to community, environment, and also regulation. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the direct impact that happened during the chemical explosion, which is when the chemical explosion occurred, male employee was presumed to have been killed with the fire breaking out after an explosion at the firm Nanya complex in Yamaguchi Prefecture. This event caused fatalities to the employee. Other than that, Japan's Tosoh shuts all monomer plants after the fire. Tosoh shut its 3 vinyl chloride monomer plants in western Japan. In this context, the Tosoh company is one of the largest producer of chemical raw materials, namely vinyl chloride monomer. This also disturbed the supply chain of various industries. This led to interruption in the production and distribution of essential goods and material. This disruption can have cascading effects on the other industry and cause economic repercussions. Next, I'm going to talk about the impact and consequence to the community. This explosion also affects community disruption, psychological and emotional effect, and also property damage. Recovering from a chemical explosion requires significant efforts from both affected community and authorities. The process may involve temporary relocation, rebuilding infrastructure, environmental remediation, and restoring public service. The recovery period can be lengthy and communities may face challenge in returning to normalcy. The direct impact on the resident during the chemical explosion and also some after the chemical explosion, which is all residents of Kudamatsu City and Shunan City, Yamaguchi Prefecture, are asked to remain indoors with windows closed. Tosoh is evaluating the effects on product supply because vinyl chloride are able to irritate eyes, mucous membrane, and respiratory tract. Escaping compressed gas or liquid can cause frostbite or irritation of the skin and eyes. Chronic exposure can cause permanent liver injury and liver cancer. Neurology or behavioral symptoms and change to the skin and bones of the hand. And from a point of view, community disruption and recovery, this process involves temporary relocation, rebuilding infrastructure, environment restoration, and restoring public service. The recovery period can be long and it can be short. Communities may face challenge in returning to normal. Apart from that, from the point of view of psychological and emotional effect, it has deep psychological and emotional impact on the individuals involved, such as workers, nearby communities that are affected. It results in trauma, post-traumatic stress stress disorder, which is PTSD, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues may arise, requiring support and counseling service. Effects on property damage is the impact on resulting in widespread damage to infrastructure, building, vehicle, and other nearby structures. The force of the explosion together with the molecule contained in the vinyl chloride monomer escapes freely in the airspace, causing widespread destruction in the blast zone and outside the blast zone. And also, it affects economic impact. This explosion can have significant economic consequence for both local and regional areas. The costs associated with cleanup, rebuilding infrastructure, environmental remediation, medical treatment, and legal liabilities can be substantial and have long-term financial implications. Next, this explosion also affects environment, which is the explosion release hazardous substance into the environment, leading to soil, water, and air pollution. Toxic chemical may contaminate nearby water bodies, affecting aquatic life and potentially entering the food chain. The extent of environmental damage depends on the nature and quantity of chemical involved. Other than that, it affects food and agriculture. The explosion occurs near agriculture areas or food processing facilities. There is a risk of contamination of crops, livestock, and food products. Consuming contaminated food can pose health risks and may lead to widespread recalls and loss of consumer confidence in the affected product, and also it affects water supply. This explosion contaminates water source, affecting the availability of safe drinking water for local communities. Contaminated water can have long-lasting effects on public health and require extensive water treatment measures to restore safety. Lastly, the effect and consequence after vinyl chloride monomer explosion is it often trigger investigation to determine the cause and responsibility for the accident. Regulatory bodies may review safety protocols and regulation related to the storage, handling, and transportation of hazardous chemicals. Legal action and liabilities can arise, leading to lawsuit and compensation claims. And also, this explosion at Tosoh, Japan, succeeded to draw attention to the importance of public awareness regarding hazardous materials and safety protocols. Such incidents may lead to increased safety regulations, improved emergency response procedure, and heightened awareness of potential risks associated with chemical storage, handling, and transportation.